going back, not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide, gonna let all the feels like a mother nature is on my side. Got a whole lot of loving growing inside.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the New Now. It's our pleasure to be talking with Campbell from Autodidactic. And today we are going to do kind of a part two of our chat a few weeks ago on discernment. They're definitely connected. We're going to talk about integrity, but not just from a definitional or a definitioning standpoint. I think I'm making up new words here, but more from a standpoint, since Campbell is all about, teaching yourself how to be alive, historical perspectives and such. We're going to discuss how to teach yourself to have your own integrity. Hey, Campbell, how's it going?
Yeah, good. How you going, Lorenzo? Good to see you again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, integrity, hey? It's one of those funny words, isn't it, that we sort of associate with the past. It's not really thrown around too much these days. How much integrity do they have? But yeah, it's definitely integral to, a well-rounded, personality, philosophy. So I'll start. I'm gonna. So
Kind of a
the definition, the dictionary definition is integrity, firm adherence to a code, especially moral or ethic, values and incorruptibility, or an impaired condition, soundness, and the quality or state of being complete or undivided.
Yeah, unimpaired.
Which is.
Yeah, I think most people, if they talk,
unimpaired, yeah.
They go with the first one, right? They think, it's having a moral code, a standing, a way to look at things, and it's true, right? That's usually the one that first comes to mind if you think about samurais or heroes of old, or those sorts of things. Amazons, let's say, even if you want to look at the lady side of things, but having integrity, they think, is to have a standard or moral code, or where you grow from, which is fine. But I think for me, anyways, it's the other two parts of the definition that maybe will help us focus on our topic today on, how do you develop that strong moral code? How do you develop your own integrity? How do you figure out what you need to do, through your life, once you've decided it's what you need to do in the first place, and, make sure that you do have a strong, integral, as you say, foundation or base from which to grow.
Yeah, that's what got me too. The integrity that, as related to construction or something like that, something that's sound and strong and complete, something that's not starting to show signs of wear and all these kinds of things. And we see this with people. Like, we know when you walk down the street, you'll see someone that is standing and they're strong and nothing will push them over. And then you see other people and you're thinking, oh, bits are falling off already. And that's really just the outward expression of how they are inside. So, integrity is definitely a moral, ethical thing. We all need good moral, ethical bases. I like to call it philosophy. What's your philosophy? How do you see life? And that should dictate how you're going to act in life. And this is, I think, one of the main things to do with the ethical part of integrity is you have to make a decision, but then you have to stand your ground. We don't tend to be taught a lot about, well, I definitely wasn't taught, when I was brought up, about morals. I definitely had them, given to me, but it was never a sort of a formal thing. This is what you should and shouldn't do. This is why you should and shouldn't do it. So we need to develop that ourselves. If you've gone along and you're like me and you end up at 18 and you're like, oh, what are ethics? What are morals? This is the thing, like, how do you want to be treated? And that's really the basis. That's how you should treat other people. And that's, but the main thing is standing your ground. Make a decision and stand by it. Don't be swayed. Don't, let the pieces fall off. Don't start to get unsound, if you know what I mean. So yeah, decide who you want to be, define it, and then stick to it, stand your ground. And that's what people respect. No one respects someone who's, you know, wishy-washy and can be sort of directed and pushed around. They're not, you know, they're not the people that we respect. You want to be someone who stands their ground, and you're going to have enemies. And there's a good saying, you know, if you don't have people, you know, speaking up against you, you're not talking loud enough. You know, we're going to have this. So, you know, when people do start to talk out, you know, against you, that's a good sign that you're making ground as well. So integrity is being able to weather that. This is why I'm doing it. This is, you know, how I see life. This is why I'm acting this way. And no, I won't be moved. So.
Yeah. And, you know, looking at that, you know, eventually, let's say we're talking to everyone that's watching, you know, our video here. And, you know, as we talked about a little bit before you came on board, people are starting to get more aware, say, wake up. I don't like to use the term, but open their eyes to what's going on in the world and to see the challenges. It's getting pretty obvious in so many arenas right now about the unfairness and the silliness and the downright evil of what's being passed along as normality. And, you know, so you find yourself 18 or 58 and you're waking up, or 68 and you're going, okay, I need to see what's going on. I need to develop some integrity. And how do I do that? Like, how do I grow my integrity? How, like, I mean, like Campbell's right, standing up, being strong, making sure all your parts, you know, are where they should be is great. But let's say you've got a huge boat and you're saying, do you see the big masts I have? And you see the lovely oars and these huge engines, and it's 40 foot long and 60 foot wide, and it's full of food. And, you know, we've got all the water we need and we're setting sail. But, you know, if you hadn't checked the hull for holes for your integrity, you know, of wholeness, you know, it doesn't matter how nice and full and well you're, you know, and how big your, or how new and shiny your ship is, you know, you're going to get a mile out and there you go. You know, you'll be at the bottom of the water wondering, you know, so what Campbell had mentioned originally is people wake up, a lot of them, and then they start pointing fingers. You know, these people are bad and these people are horrible. But, you know, integrity, I would say, and Campbell and I have talked about this before, is usually it starts with pointing at yourself. Right? You know, seeing if you were in relation to our topic of how to grow your own integrity. You know, if you're looking for soundness, I guess you got to test to see where you're not sound, where you have your flaws.
Exactly, like the boat analogy is perfect, you know, with the hole and you take off from harbor. It's like that's us. We need to check ourselves. You know, where are your holes? Where are you leaking energy? You know, what's you know, because it's all obviously, you know, focus. When the more that we have focus, the quicker things, you know, manifest. Basically, the quicker we get to where we want to go. So if we have, you know, a leaky hole, that's some of our attention going somewhere else, which means, you know, we're not standing in who we really want to be. We haven't yet made that decision. So that's all that's, you know, checking yourself is something we need to do to find the leaks. And that's the process is, you know, recognizing those leaks and then finding out how to plug them up, and plugging them up or change is just changing your belief. And that's really just talking yourself into it. You know, why do you want to be this kind of person? What are the, you know, what are the options? What if you don't, you know, stand in integrity? What if you don't make a stand? You know, where are you going to be in 5 years? If you do, you know, make a stand and decide to be, you know, someone who has rules they live by or whatever, then where will you be in 5 years? How will people see you? How will your children see you? Because integrity is in the moment, but it affects your life in the long term. So if we can't stand up in the moment and make those decisions in the moment to be ourselves, then in the long run, when we don't have integrity. But if we can, then in the long run, it changes who we are completely, because then we have, you know, a code. It's like Lorenzo said with samurais, you know, they have a code that they live by. And because of that code, you know, we all know about the samurais, you know, hundreds of years later, because, you know, they made an impact because they were unbendable, that they were, this is who I am. And, you know, bring the ocean down. I don't care. I'm still standing here. You're not going to move me. And I guess when it comes down to it, it's got a lot to do with, you know, belief in yourself, you know, and starting to just spend time and recognize that, you know, none of us are perfect. We're all a bit messed up. But the way to get unmessed or to get more sound, to get more integrity, is to recognize those things, call them out for what they are, and then start working towards the other direction. Like, don't sit there trying to get rid of something, just focus on the direction that's going to get you out of there. And this is the thing. I mean, it's a daily process, isn't it? It's a lifetime process of always improving yourself. Look, you know, spend time reading books and watching videos of people that you admire. Work out what is it that you admire about them, because that's their integrity. That will be their integrity. It's because you recognize something in them that they stand for. And this is the thing I said before, even if you don't believe what they stand for, you're still going to respect them because they stand for something. You know, you can, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, as they say.
It's like the samurais. I don't necessarily believe in any of their code. I'm not even sure 100% personally if they were real or not. I've heard stories. Campbell's heard stories. You know, I live in Japan. I've heard thousands of stories. Were they real? Who knows? But was I attracted to an unbendable code of being alive? 100%. You know, would I kill myself if I lost honor? Probably not. You know, supposedly that's what they did. But on the other hand, I could imagine what it was like by looking at that, to live in a certain way. And instead of just, you know, putting on a sword or a Halloween costume or the samurai hair, which a lot of people, it's easy to do. It's kind of like, oh, how am I not like that? I'm going, oh my goodness. I've sat before and I've imagined, I go, if I was in this position, what would I do? Would I run away from forces that were bigger than me? Would I run away if there was, you know, 28 people trying to kill this one person? Would I run away if you know, my life was in danger? And, you know, there were times, and even now, when I had to say, yeah, I wouldn't be so brave. I would probably have been a coward, you know, whether it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or even 5 weeks ago. And it's only when I've decided to look at myself and see where I wasn't whole and didn't have that kind of fortitude, bravery, whatever inside myself, I had to look and see, what would it feel like? You know, as Campbell said, using your imagination. That's another way. What would it feel like to have that kind of feeling? What would it feel like to plug those holes? What would it feel like to be a samurai standing? How would the women look at me? How would other men look at me? You know, you can imagine, you know, even now my heart is filling with a nice warm feeling in imagining what it's like to be that hero, to stand tall. And you know, I don't mean you're going to pull up a sword and the monsters are coming around the bend, but, you know, energetically speaking, we are facing that kind of a challenge right now with the laws and the rules and what the government says you have to do or can't do. You know, I hear the Philippines are saying you have to take a vaccine, or you hear from Russia, or even in Canada, you know, they're bringing on supposedly their crazy passports. I mean, you hear all kinds of things and go, well, am I going to listen? You know, no. I mean, that's maybe the new samurai. The new way to have integrity is to go, doesn't matter what happens to me. You know, I have to be an example to my wife and my friends and the people in my community, and become, you know, the hero, and see what that means. And I'm going to turn this back and saying that for me is how, or one of the ways I've seen to learn to grow my integrity, is to see how I'd like to be in relation to how I am not yet.
Definitely. Yeah, watch people that inspire you, and the superhero. You know, we're all superheroes. This is it's got to do with self-image. There's, you know, a thing called self-image, which is basically the picture we have of ourselves in our mind. We all picture ourselves as a certain way, and that's what we need to sort of work on, because that's our default. You know, so if you're walking down the street, whatever your self-image is how you'll walk, basically. So if your self-image is, well, you know, I never win, I'm not really worth much, it doesn't matter, then obviously, you know, you've got the sloped shoulders and everything. Completely different to someone who's like, yep, I'm here, life's out to get me, it's all awesome, I can take on any challenge. Much different. So you do this in your mind first, and like Lorenzo said, you feel it. And guys, if you want to see yourself with a cape on, see yourself with a cape on. And there's even something called the Superman walk, or the superhero walk,
Really?
where you literally, you know, you can wait till you've got the house to yourself if you want, but you literally walk around the room like you've got a cape on, and imagine that you are whatever, you know, Wonder Woman or Superman or Batman. How would they walk? Because it's easy for us to live into another character, if you want, into those traits, when we see it. You know, if you see Batman, no one's going to walk around with their shoulders sloped. Everyone's going to be, right, I'm in control. Which is easier maybe than building up a picture of yourself, you know, as this, you know, walking around in control. If you're not there yet, you know, mirror yourself on someone else, fake it till you make it kind of thing. But then step into it, you know, live into it, like get the picture in your mind, but then you need to, the next step, a lot of people sit there with the law of attraction, isn't it? Just, oh yes, it'll come to me. You need to take action and step into it. So you build this picture and then you go out, just go to the shops and walk around like you're Batman, you know, maybe not so, you know, but just walk around with that, that feeling and see what happens, you know, and try it and build that image up. You know, this isn't going to happen overnight. It's a work, you know, it's a work, work of art in progress.
Work in progress.
You know, we've got to keep working at it every day and catch ourselves in the moment and just keep reinstalling it. And the same thing, you know, if it's Batman, why did you pick Batman? What are the traits? You know, what is appealing to you? What do you respect about that character? And whoever it is, and look at yourself. If he's brave, ask yourself, am I brave?
Yeah.
And it's okay not to be. You know, like I said, this is a journey. We have to learn. You know, where were there situations that I was brave? Where were there situations that I could have been braver? How could I have done that differently? And therefore that builds in, how am I going to act in the future? Like, you're literally changing the program. And this, you know, this builds a strong person, a strong character, because we're not taught to focus on this. And we see it everywhere. There's all these fractured people, you know, they have no integrity. They're not being held together with anything. There's no core belief system. I'll say belief, because, you know, in the core, it is a belief. You have to believe that you are strong and powerful. You know, there's a lot of talk about belief, and, you know, don't believe, or don't believe. But some things we should believe we're powerful. We should believe we can, you know, take any challenge that comes our way. They should be beliefs. Other things we shouldn't hold in stone. We should be able to learn and change them. But yeah, it's got to do with how do you see yourself? Because how you see yourself is how everyone else is going to see yourself. And if people start seeing you the way that you want to be seen, you know, then you start to spiral up. It's just this motion of, yep, I'm proving myself right. And that's how we, build the integrity up.
I read in the spirit.
It's a work in progress. It's a daily work.
It is. Yeah. You know, something that stuck with me from I read so many woo-woo books maybe 20 years ago, and a lot of them eventually you throw them by the wayside because they're, you know, this person's going to save you, or that's going to save you, or make a wish, or all you got to do is, you know, hit a gong 3 times and, you know, you get your treasure and all these things. But, you know, one bit which stuck by me is 3 ways you change: hope, belief, and then knowing. I can only say this for, you know, first you hope something is true for yourself. You know, you hope you're strong. Then you believe it's true. Let's say you believe you're strong, you know, where Campbell said. I think even beyond that, eventually the knowing comes. There's no more, like, that's when you have integrity, right? Nothing's gonna, you're standing for that. Nothing's gonna move you. You know you're strong. You know you're abundant. You know, Campbell mentioned a little bit about the law of attraction. And from what I've heard in anything in my life, from what I've seen, I can only talk about, if you're in those first 2 stages, you're only going to be minorly successful on whatever it is you're asking for. You know, if you hope you want something, or you believe you want something and you should get it, it's when you know 100%. I think this reality, from what I've seen, works on not 99%, not 99.9%. This reality of change works on 100%. You know, and that's the beauty and the magic and the secret, in my opinion. I mean, integrity would mean 100% sound, wholeness. You can't be 99% whole, then you're not whole, right? You're 99% sound, you're not sound, right? You know, you'll just sink slower, let's say, or fall slower. But wholeness would be, in my opinion, you know, figuring out how to get to what you want to know about yourself, and then to see what you don't, and to live there through your own experiences. As Campbell said, you know, look at a superhero, look at your neighbor, look at a cat, look at a dog. I've learned to be loving by watching dogs, and I've learned to flower and take my time by watching flowers. You know, someone said, why aren't you doing this quickly? Why aren't you doing this? And then, you know, I like flowers. I've watched an orchid. Orchids take 5 years to bloom, but then their blooms last for 3 months, right? So Whereas some flowers will take, a month to bloom, and then their blooms only last for, a couple hours. So, what I'm really getting at with that is we're all different. We all have our own pace, let's say, and we have to determine for ourselves what our pace is and what it is we would like to do. And I would say that's part of growing your integrity, is to figure out how you can get to where you want to go, what it's going to take, how long it's going to take, and to allow yourself the space to do that, or not, depending on what it is you're trying to, increase or decrease in your life.
Yeah. And be it now, that this is the knowing, it's once you sort of build this self-image up, then you'll become it. So that's the knowing, is when your reactions of what you want them to be. But a big part of that is, look at this as, we have linear 3D time, yes, but in the bigger picture, there is no time. So everything has to be now. You have to be who you want to be now. That you in the bigger picture, there is no future. So if you're projecting, I'm going to be this next month or next year or whatever, it's not going to work, because you're not in the knowing. You haven't hit that spot. You have to know that you're there, and to the point where, if you're skinny and whatever, 60 kilos, and you want to be muscly and 80 kilos, see yourself as muscly and 80 kilos now. As if you're in the front of the mirror, literally see yourself in the mirror now. You can't, if you have this thing of, well, here I am and I'm working up to that, you'll never get there. If you want something, you don't have it. So so this is the thing. See yourself there now. There's a story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. We all know Big Arnie, back in the 80s when he was trying to get into movies after he, was Mr. Olympia. And he used to he moved to Hollywood, and he used to just walk he'd find out where the big parties were, and he'd just walk in, just rock up uninvited. And of course, he's a, fairly impressive looking guy, but he'd just walk up and the security would say, "Who are you?" And he'd say, "I am Arnold Schwarzenegger, the greatest actor in the world." And they'd kind of go, "Oh." And he got into pretty much every party just doing that. And he'd just stand there because he didn't know anyone. And people would walk up and go, "Who are you?" And he'd say, "I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, the greatest actor in the world." And he did this for, over a year, I think. And what happened is people just started talking about him. "Oh, have you seen this weird guy, this huge guy? He's got this funny accent. He says he's the best actor in the world." And that started getting to the producers and through the movie, and then all these producers started going, "Oh, maybe we should get him in and have a look." And that's how he got his first movie roles. He became what he wanted to be, and he just lived it. He just stepped straight into it, and he was like, "This is who I am, and I'm it now." And then we can see what happened. And of course, we're not going to get into the other side of the movie business and all that kind of stuff, but just as an example, that's how you can literally live into it. And in that story, he clearly wasn't caring what other people thought. He was just, "This is who I am." Take it or leave it, because in the end, who are you living life for? Are you living it for yourself, or are you living it for all these other people who are, who are not complete, but pointing the finger and going, "Oh, you're this and you're this"? People are going to laugh. If you have integrity, it doesn't really matter, because you understand you're going somewhere and who you are. And all these people pointing the fingers, just understand it's all opinion. They're not saying things that are based on integrity. They're just repeating what they heard on the news or whatever. But so yeah, live into it and be it now. Like we can't get these feelings, and you can't feel the wind rush on your face if it's in 6 months' time. It's got to be now. Everything's got to be now. You got to see yourself in the moment as you want to be now, and it's done. Just say it's done. It's one of my becoming one of my favorite thoughts. It's done.
It's done. I like your example, because even though, as Campbell said, we're not going to get into the other side of movies and the so-called evilness of it. We're all attracted to them. We all have been, or TV. And it's one of the ways I learned my own integrity, was I used to like watching sitcoms and comedy, and then I would study them and I would go, why am I attracted to it? Why do people like it? And I just know this is because these people supposedly do whatever they feel like doing in the moment. Doesn't matter how silly, doesn't matter how ridiculous they look. They just go out there, and again, this is from watching what I saw as far as these situation comedies went, and they did what they wanted to do, and they had the kind of life, and people seemed to enjoy that. And so when I would start doing that for myself, go out, be myself, say what I wanted, doesn't matter how ridiculous, dress how I wanted, make fun of things as I saw fit without being cruel to people, I noticed my life started to change. I mean, we're here, we're born, we live a short time, perhaps we die, at least in this ego body. We are all in our own movie, at least people like to think they are. It's probably why they push movies on you. So going back to Campbell's example, if you are in a movie and this is your movie, how would you like it to look? How would you like to be? What would you like your role to look like? And how is it not that way? Turning it back to how that would be, you can grow your integrity. How is your life not the way you would like? And without, pointing fingers, as the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, he said he didn't wait for someone to give him a role. He went in and put himself in the way of those roles, and then they came. Whether this is a true story or not, I'm not sure if Campbell knows Arnold personally. I know I don't, but the story, the story itself is sound in that, you put yourself in the way of how you'd like to be, and you put yourself in the flow. If you're a flower, you want to grow, you put yourself in the sun, if you want to learn to sing, hang out with singers. If you want to learn to be brave, hang out with warriors. If you want to learn to dance, hang out with dancers. And that goes back to what Campbell said about having an example of what it is you would like to do that you don't have. And that goes back to seeing where maybe you're unsound or you don't have integrity in relation to what you would like to do or grow or be. And then you get off your ass and make it real for yourself.
Yeah. And the first point is always, admitting that we're not perfect, that we have problems. You can't fix a problem that doesn't exist. So, excuse me. But also don't see them as problems. Just see them as challenges. Things are going to come up when you change your mind and you decide you're going to live, be someone different, live differently. The universe is going to say, really? Oh, okay. And it's going to test you. It's going to throw a few things in your way. And if you go, too hard, it's going to say, well, you weren't serious. But if you look at it as challenges and you get over them, you'll find out that what these are, they're actually there to make you grow into the person that you want to be. That's what the challenges are. They will change you on the way. The universe. So that's the thing. It's like, yeah, here's what you need. And you get to choose. Are you going to go, what does it mean to you? Are you serious? Are you going to go forward, or are you just going to go back and sit on the couch and turn Netflix on? And again, where's that going to see you in 5 years? Especially at this time. And Lorenzo did mention it, but this is the perfect time, guys, to work on integrity. Look what's going on. Look at all the wrongs that are being done, and look at the lack of people standing up. I saw a video, I think it was in Australia, and there was cops kneeling on like a little kid, like 10 or 12-year-old. I don't know what the story was, and then there were 5 or 6 cops, as they do, standing around keeping him safe. And people were filming it, but they were just standing there. I mean, at that point, you kind of need 10 big guys to just walk in and start, ripping that guy off, that kid and stuff. Because authority, have you ever thought of the word authority? Most of the word authority is author. So who do you want to write your story, guys? That they're the author of your stories if you give them that if you let them be. And these people have no integrity. Look at them. They're pathetic. All they do is follow orders, to the point of attacking their fellow humans. So this is where integrity comes in. What are you going to put up with? And I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way or do things that are stupid, but we need to start changing. And this is only going to start changing when people stand up. And you're not going to stand up unless you stand for something. So and it's perfect. Just look around the world. What do you really disagree with, and how can you change it? How can you be the change you want to see, is what it comes down to.
And I think you're always in harm's way. It's from the time you're born to the time you die, you're in harm's way. And it is, I think, that threat of harm that keeps a lot of people away from their own integrity. And once you realize, maybe it's a higher level of understanding. I don't know, because I don't put myself anywhere in that. I've taken so long to figure out some of the things I've needed to figure out in my life. I wondered some days if I'm not, somewhat retarded, and maybe from the sugar I was raised on, or whatever, or the schooling I had, I was in many ways. But the lack or fear of death is a huge one, and the lack or fear thereof of your own person. I mean, you're not an idiot, right? You don't, like as Campbell said, you don't take unnecessary risks. That's just stupid. On the other hand, if you can't lose something, it's not worth gaining. And if there's not a chance it's going to be gone, it's not, it's not a treasure, so to speak. And if it's guaranteed, it's not a challenge, and nothing in this life is guaranteed, and nothing in this life. And I think also what Campbell says is you get those are you sure's. So if you want to grow in a certain way, you will be faced with those challenges. You will get an are you sure? And they're always tough. Are you sure you want to be strong? Are you sure you want to stop, drinking? Maybe one day you start, you decide you're not going to have any more alcohol, and then 4 days later you're invited to an all-you-can-drink party. It's happened to me, or you're going to go on a diet, and then someone's going to bring a chocolate cupcake over to your house 2 days later, and it's not because they hate you or because they don't like you. It's the world actually trying to help you. Going, do you mean it? Show me you mean it, and then you'll show yourself you mean it. Whatever it is, and from there. And if you deny it, we'll go back to the boat analogy. If you deny having holes in your boat, or if someone says, hey, you got a hole in your boat, and you get angry, or you're going to go, I'll fix it in 6 days, not today, or I don't know what you're talking about. It's not such a big hole. It's only a little hole in my boat, or you get, I can't believe you told me I have a hole in my boat. Why didn't you notice the nice shoes I'm wearing instead? You're always such a hater. Pointing out the negatives instead of telling me how nice my hair looks today. I can't believe you. Get out of here, Lamont. And you're never invited on my boat again. A real friend's going to go, yeah, you look great, but did you notice those holes? We're going to go out together, and then we're all going to be dead. So celebrate the people that help you with the challenges. I would find, celebrate, the are you sure? Celebrate, again, back to topic on how you grow your own integrity. Celebrate the challenge. Celebrate, what's going on. And if you don't want to face those cops that are kneeling on a 12-year-old, and you don't want to stand up and start a fight with some of these obvious monsters, go live somewhere else. You don't have to necessarily fight that cop. You could start a new city and a new community and invite the people to come along. Let's say you can invite other families, you can invite other people, you can invite all the children. Something that's sat with me, and maybe with Campbell over the last little while, are the challenges all the kids seem to be having these days in these new crazy rules of masks and vaccines and limitations and all this. And, I got to say, I think maybe they're being challenged to get strong quicker. It's always, I think maybe they're being challenged to see how stupid their parents are. I was raised on sugar. I was raised in religion. I was put into school. They tried to make me a lawyer. Again, I can just talk about myself. I had some vaccines when I was younger. I still got a mark on my arm when I went to school, and they gave me that jab that leaves a scar on your arm. I guess the old style ones that they used to do when you had your 3 things.
Measles, isn't it, or chickenpox?
Yeah, measles, chickenpox, rubella, or something. They give you that 3 jab. I can still remember being in the gym and waiting in line with all the kids, going, "What the fuck am I doing here?" I listened, but then I was sore. And as I look back now, I can say that helped me later on when they wanted to offer me more vaccines or more sugar or more stupid jobs or more idiotic ways to get fat or whatever, to go, yeah, I've been there. No, thank you. Isn't what the Lord loves a reformed sinner, because they're the strongest, and because you're not going to get shaken off your path again, because you already know what it's like to go down that alleyway.
Yeah. And a lot of, unreformed people, sinners aren't what they claim to be. Now I've forgotten my train of thought.
And it just comes along with integrity. You could see how you haven't had integrity. Really, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I didn't have integrity when I ate stupidly. I didn't have integrity when I listened to other people. I didn't have integrity when I let them give me my vaccine. I didn't have integrity when I went to listen to some dentists or doctors. When I had old girlfriends who asked me to do this, that, or the other thing, and I listened for whatever reason. He said winking, the obvious reason that men listened to him. And at the time, in the end, maybe you'll end up naked in bed, but you're not going to feel good in the morning, so to speak. because, it wasn't integrity that brought you to where you wanted to go. And as soon as I stopped all of that and decided, I want to look after my own holes first, if you'll pardon the rude pun here, that's when my life grew to the point where I started to meet the kind of people and had the kind of relationships, jobs, physique even. I used to be quite heavier than I am right now, and I had to lose a lot of weight, to get down to what I would like, for my own sake of integrity. And it's through all of those challenges now that I'm more sturdy. So, you may be having a hard time, but that's how integrity grows, right? By facing those hard times and seeing where they take you.
Definitely. And the biggest thing is learn how to say no nicely, but powerfully. This is the biggest thing of integrity is you're going to start saying no a lot, because everything's an offer and acceptance. And to have, it's not, a complete person that follows someone else. People only follow other people if they think they don't have the answers or the strength in themselves. So integrity is all about saying no, and this is understanding this is an offer, and I am accepting it or I'm not accepting it. It's I guess it's got a lot to do with that gap, isn't it? When something happens, it's you've got to get that gap. Don't react. Stop. Think what's happening. Okay, then act. And because if you're reacting, all you're doing is being pulled along by someone else's rope. So it's definitely, and also integrity doesn't have to be about being the biggest and the bravest and sort of war and all that kind of stuff. It's like Lorenzo said, if you saw these things going wrong, you may not be a warrior. So maybe the best thing is to, build an alternative community. Maybe it's to go and study the law and to start an actual proceeding, or to tackle it a different way. But if you stand there and do nothing and you see it as wrong, well, you're not standing in integrity. You're not aligning your actions to your beliefs. And that's what integrity is, I guess, making whole, right? Integral, lining up the three bodies, making sure that your spirit, your mind, and your physical actions, your body, all line up in integrity.
That's all I meant is,
and when you do that, you're whole, right?
Yeah, there's options. If you don't like the cop kneeling on the kid, like I said, you don't have to pull up a stick and hit him unless that's what you want to do. If you have a feeling of you have to do something, then you got to figure out for yourself what that I have to do something is, right? It could be a million things, could be, and really, integrity also boils down to self-direction, self-taught, self-control, figuring it out, what's inside you, what you need to do. No one can give you your own integrity. It's impossible. It's something really you have to make for yourself. So what that is in relation to what you feel it should be is what you need to discover in order to get to where you want to go, and only in relation to where you feel you're not yet. If you're happy with your life and you're happy with the circumstances.
And following's not. So I was just going to say, following's not integrity. So, in that situation, again, if you don't like the cop and someone does run in and punch them, if that's not your feeling that that's what you should do, but then a few other people do and you join the mob, that's not being brave or standing up. That's just mob, following people again. So that's the main thing. Understand everyone's different. You don't have, this is the thing. You don't have to be anyone but you. And this is what integrity is, I guess, is working out who you are and who you want to be. And then making the changes to become that person. Become, not necessarily a leader if you don't want to be, but definitely stray from being a follower. Just become someone who stands on their own and lives their own life. And that's really integral to integrity.
It is, and the why could be quite simple as looking at a balloon with holes, right? A balloon without holes, it's going to go higher. From a higher view, you see more. And when you see more options present themselves. It's just natural physics in the physical world, and I would say in the spiritual and energetic world as well. If you have lots of holes, you're going to stay on the same level. You'll never see ways to get out of whatever it is you want to get out of, or a situation you want to make better, or a situation you want to make less of, depending on what it is you're facing. And if you don't know what to do, stand there and fix wherever you're not integral at the moment. Fix those holes of anger, or too much eating, or too much drinking, or bad job or not enough sleep or physical ailments, whatever they are for you, because you've, hurt your body in one way or many, and if that's all you can do for a year or 2 years, I've spent years doing that, have some patience with yourself too, and love yourself and figure it out. And eventually, as you fill in the spots of you that are missing, you'll start to rise like a balloon, let's say a helium balloon with less holes, and then new options will magically appear. As Campbell said, there is only now. So in that now, which is your new now, you're like our new now here, you'll be making your own new now. And from your new now, you'll have new choices. And there'll be choices you've always wanted to see, but you first had to become more integral so that you can get a little higher, climb the mountain. Lots of ways you can look at it. Build the glider and go up and then see further. They always say if you're lost in a forest, go to the highest point and look around, reorient yourself, find your direction. So if you go a little higher, however that is for you, and you look around, you'll almost, I can't guarantee anything, but I found for myself, there's always options that have always been there that you never knew you wanted, but have been with you your whole life. And there was a part of you that was always whispering at you, and maybe you were too busy to notice it. And then you go, oh my goodness, I didn't have to do this job, I can do this, or I didn't have to be with this person, I can do that, or I didn't have to live here, I can live there, or, oh my God, I don't need to do this. This is feels way better. Whatever it is, like I said, you got to figure it out for yourself. But I think if there's anything Campbell and I are here to share with you guys is, it's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible, to make your life different, to make your life better, to make your life sweeter, if you like, more loving, whatever you feel you're missing.
Oh, you just froze then. I think we lost that whole bit.
That's okay. I think you froze. I think I got part of it on this end. And
I
can edit.
I think the main thing we want to say is, and he just went silent. And I'm like, what? What are you going to say?
Oh my goodness! See, so now it's Nothing. A secret. It's a secret for Campbell.
It's a secret. Then we just put up, join us next week for the answer.
So maybe, like I heard it. So I'm recording on this end today. So maybe it came through, and Campbell will get it later. Maybe it'll come at a different time. I think therein is the world helping us. Okay, so Campbell didn't stop the recording, and I didn't. Something in our internet connection did whatever it did, and even two people having the same conversation sometimes are going to hear different things for different reasons, and that doesn't make me better than Campbell or Campbell better than me or his internet connection. Who knows whose internet connection was supposedly weak there for a moment? But the bottom line being is, you will hear what you need to hear, and they'll hear what they need to hear. And even 12 people in a room could hear something different in the bottom. So you got to take away what you got to take away for yourself, because they're your holes that need filling, and no one can fill them, no matter what those sexy beer commercials tell you, but you.
Exactly. Fill your own holes, guys. But yeah, this is the thing. The higher you climb, the further you'll see, and that it always comes back to that. So, it's a journey. Keep climbing, believe in you, and just understand that you're enough, and whatever you need, you can find inside. It's not in the outside world. It's already in you.
This is great. Maybe it's a shorter chat. Campbell and I have talked for an hour and a half. This one seems almost done. I think we've come to a conclusion here, right? You are enough. You have what you need. I don't mind the shorter one. We'll get it up and we'll get them out. Maybe we've been at it for a half an hour now or something like that. Maybe a little less. I don't have a clock anywhere near me. But the bottom line is, we've come to, that's the other thing. When you go to fix your integrity, you never know when you'll be done. Could look like you're going to be at it for years, and then you could be finished in 5 minutes. You could think it's going to take you 5 minutes, and it could take you 50 years. You never know till you start the journey. Bottom line is, the help is there. We're going to be, once again, I'll do a little plug here, launching our new Now Agora. It's been pushed back a little bit. Campbell and I have talked about it before. We're going to do it next week, but it's going to be the week after now. We'll keep you guys posted. And the reason it keeps getting delayed are fantastic reasons. New people keep joining us. Lovely people keep contacting me. We keep filling up more, so that we're going to have more options and more opinions to share with all of you, our lovely viewers. So keep watching here. Campbell will help get the word out as well. He's promised along the way. And all I can say is, I appreciate all of you that have come from Campbell's channel to like and subscribe on my end. I appreciate all the great comments I've had. I don't know if Campbell's had a chance to read them that have said they've appreciated. So I'll say thank you, Campbell. We've had great comments that have appreciated both of us in our conversation. So I'll pass that along. Thank you again, Campbell, for all of your efforts with me over this last, year we've been chatting, more or less. And let's say, is there anything on integrity or anything else you may like to leave our Dan's
No,
your
no, I was
for
just going to
today.
say, you know, Lorenzo's event with the New Now is the perfect place to go and to look at people and to see, you know, why they have integrity, what you like about different people and what you want to build in yourself. You know, it's these types of events and different events, listening to different people's points of view and picking out, you know, what traits of that person you want to be and taking them on board and building it. So like we said, we'll give you more information and we hope you see you all there. I'll be there making noise from my mouth. So I hope you all come and join it. We'll definitely keep you updated.
Well,
So yeah, I guess that's it, guys. You know, you have everything you need inside you, and the more you work on it, the more integrity you will build.
exactly. And we're going to go bi-weekly or weekly or monthly, whatever. Either way, it's going to be regular. We're not charging a penny for it. In other words, for now, who knows later, they'll be free of cost anyways. So your effort is all that's required for gaining your integrity. There's no excuses. I've always wanted to be able to share what's possible, at least with mouth noises, as Campbell said. You know, who knows what it's going to cost you to go beyond your mouth noises, but at the very least, maybe you will be inspired to start your own journey towards your integrity. Autodidactic, teach yourself. There's no other way. You know, I can't thank Campbell enough for having started his channel way back with his own integrity and inspiration. It's led us here. It's led me to more people. So thank you so much, Campbell. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Once again, I've had a blast.
Can't make me lie to my heart. No one tells me where I should start. Freedom